In this video I'll show you how to rebuild your Xbox controller by replacing all the parts that tend to wear out, like thumbsticks, buttons, triggers and more. These spare parts usually cost about $5 to $10 delivered, the link's in the description. By the way, I have tons of videos on servicing, diagnostics and repairs for Xbox One X and Series X consoles. I'm going to use this Xbox Series controller as an example, but the process is pretty much the same for the previous generation too, so let's get started. There's a hidden screw under the sticker. You can either pierce it with a screwdriver or carefully peel it off like this, then just remove the screw. Next, using a prying tool or a flathead screwdriver, we need to remove these plastic covers. Once done, go ahead and take out the screws. Now we can remove the faceplate. At this point you can replace the thumbsticks if they're damaged. Then flip the controller over and remove the back cover. Then remove the small panel, like so. Next we need to take off the bumper. You can use tweezers or a small screwdriver. This is also how you replace it if it's damaged. If you're having issues with the vibration motors, they can be easily replaced. These wires go to the smaller motors inside the triggers. Now we need to remove these screws and take out the triggers. There are permanent magnets inside the triggers, and these are the Hall effect magnetic sensors. So if one of your triggers stops responding, you just need to replace the sensor. It's an easy job with the hot air station, but you can also do it with a basic soldering kit that costs about $10. Place the new component and solder it down. Now let's remove this board. Carefully disconnect the antenna cables and take out these two screws. Once that's done, we can separate the boards. Next, remove all the screws and take out the board. If you're having issues with the D-pad, this membrane pad needs to be replaced. Clean the area with rubbing alcohol. Then remove the protective film from the new pad and stick it onto the PCB, lining up the holes on the pad with the ones on the board. If any of these buttons become unresponsive or less sensitive, you just need to replace this silicone membrane pad, like so. If you're having issues with the bumper buttons, they may need to be replaced. But first try injecting a bit of rubbing alcohol inside to clean the internal contacts. Do it a couple of times, then let it dry for an hour. That usually solves the problem. If not, use a solder wick to remove the solder from the button terminals, like this. And then take out the button. Insert a new one and solder down. And finally, let's talk about the most vulnerable and wear-prone parts, the joystick modules. If you notice drift, sudden or erratic movements while gaming, or mechanical issues like the stick getting stuck or not spinning back properly, that's a sign the joystick module is worn out and needs to be replaced. Removing this part with the soldering iron isn't easy. I've never done it myself since I always use a hot air station, but let's give it a try. The idea here is to just soak up all the solder using a solder wick and some flux. Be patient and work your way around all the terminals. Well, it wasn't easy, and I'm not doing this again. If you got a bunch of faulty controllers, it might make sense to invest in a basic hot air gun, costing around 25 bucks. Make sure to full insert the new component and then solder it down. Finally, let's put everything back together and see if it works. To test it on a PC, click Start, type joy.cpl and run the controller diagnostics tool. It gives you a visual display of all inputs, thumbsticks, triggers, and buttons. Everything looks normal here, and to me it feels like a brand new controller.